Sometimes a community develops a seedy, difficult side to it. Just underneath the regular, everyday lives of people exists a webwork of drug users, dealers, ex-cons, and people caught up in supporting them, doing favors, loaning money, giving rides. There is a constant flow into and out of local jails and state prisons, with a shifting cast of people tangled up in it. Sometimes, one of the threads of that situation spins itself out into something sinister and deadly. Early Friday morning on the 23rd of July 2021, it did just that. As workers arrived at the Ramskog Quarry outside of La Crosse, Wisconsin before dawn, they stumbled across where one of those dead ends played out.
The investigation centering around the finding of 3 bodies this morning at a quarry about halfway between West Salem and Holmen. La Crosse County Sheriff Jeff Wolf says 2 workers of the Milestone Quarry found the bodies at the facility's entrance. Investigators from the state DCI, the La Crosse County DA's office, and coroner are now working to identify the victims and what the sheriff is calling a complex crime scene.
Local police immediately went to work in an attempt to unravel what had happened, what had caused the execution-style shootings of 3 men, 2 of whom were from the area's Hmong community. Sheriff Jeff Wolf would immediately put out a request for anyone who had information to come forward.
If any individuals have residences on County Trunk Highway M, if they have any security cameras or security footage from late yesterday afternoon until 5 o'clock this morning, we would be interested in taking a look at that video.
What happened on that fateful night? A drug deal gone wrong? Perhaps infighting among the local Bloods gang? Join us as we follow the investigation into these murders. Before we begin, we would like to extend our deepest sympathies to the family and loved ones of Nemo Yang, Trevor Maloney, and Peng Lor. La Crosse is a city located on the western border of Wisconsin and is home to just over 52,000 people. Bordered by the Mississippi River, it's a college town with about 20,000 students at any given time. Beyond the students, it is also home to one of the largest Hmong communities outside of Southeast Asia. Currently, about 2% of its population, or about 60% of the Asian residents, claim Hmong ancestry. Allies of the U.S. during the Vietnam War, whose villages often provided bases and fighters for the Green Berets, the Hmong found themselves under harsh reprisals after the war, including attempted genocides in Vietnam and Laos in 1975. Thousands upon thousands were given emergency immigration status to the United States, most settling in Wisconsin, where they became vital and a beloved part of the community. On that hot summer morning, 2 of the dead men at the quarry, Nemo Yang and Peng Lor, were from that community, and both sides had ties to Bloods-aligned gangs, the true Asian Bloods. The third man, Trevor Maloney, had no apparent ties to the organization, but had recently been paroled from prison. Forensic teams combed the area and described finding the 3 men's bodies either at the closed gate of the quarry or slightly under it. 2 of the men, Nemo and Trevor, were lying face down. Peng was face up, their wallets at their feet empty of money. Could this have been a simple robbery? It's quickly ruled that robbery was highly unlikely as the motive behind the killing. The out-of-the-way location was one factor, but the sheer number of Winchester .40 caliber shell casings found at the scene and multiple wounds to each body pointed to something less random. Each of the men had multiple wounds to their backs, heads, and arms. Furrows in the gravel of the drive also appeared to have indicated that the men were made to either crawl or walk on their knees to the gate. Powder burns on the corpses made it appear that these were gangland-style executions. In addition, tracks in the area seemed to indicate that 2 cars had been there the night before. There were no security cameras working at the gate, and canvassing of homeowners along nearby roads showed no security cameras had caught the passage of vehicles during the night. Investigators from the La Crosse County Sheriff's Office might not have an immediate answer to what happened, but Nemo and Trevor were known to them. Peng, who had moved to the area just months before, left a trail behind him of gang connections and petty offenses, particularly in possession and selling of drugs and petty theft. It was something to go on, and local law enforcement began checking their contacts and following leads. And then a woman walked in the door at the La Crosse County Sheriff's Office, and she said she had one hell of a story to tell. Bridget Schlicht said that she was there the night before and that she was lucky to have gotten out alive. She's quickly brought to an interview room, and a detective from the local department is joined by an investigator from the Wisconsin Department of Justice.
Hey, how's it going?
Bridget Schlicht. She just went to the lobby and said that she witnessed some stuff. So
Bridget, you said? Hi, my name is John Meyer. I work for the state of Wisconsin Department of Justice. I'm a special agent in our Division of Criminal Investigation. And then this is Investigator Amundsen from the Sheriff's Office. So obviously you got here before us, and we know that there's some things that you probably wanted to talk about that brought you here, and we haven't yet talked to you yet. But I just want to make it clear that you're not being detained. You're not being placed under arrest for anything. Is that your understanding as well? Yeah. So
the door's just closed for privacy, and then if you want to get up and go, you can.
I'm afraid for my life. Okay.
Okay.
It takes her a few more minutes to gather herself. The officers let her take time, but they offer no information. Whatever story she has to tell, they can't prompt her, coerce her, or in any way change what she might say. Eventually, she begins spinning out the tale of what happened over the last 48 hours of her life.
You know why I'm here, right, though?
What's that?
Do you know why I'm here?
I have an idea, but I'd like you to kind of start from the beginning and kind of tell me what's happened that's brought you here, so that we can kind of make sure that I'm not jumping to any conclusions or assuming anything.
I think you will be, but okay, so it's hard to work. I don't think I can know where to start.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't live up here, but I work up here.
Yeah.
And this kid, Trevor,
Okay.
asked if I wanted to hang out. Yesterday was today?
Today's Friday.
Okay. So it'd been Wednesday, I think. Wednesday, yeah. And he said he would get a hotel room, and I'm like, well, okay, you know, I don't have a place to stay up here, and I don't have any money right now, so a place to stay would be kind of nice. And so I went there and hung out, and then a bunch of Asian people came. And we all just hung out, and then, you know, they left and they came or whatever, and well, there was a couple more Asians there, and they were in trouble. I don't know exactly what they did or who they did to. And then the night went on. I couldn't go to work last night because I didn't have my social security card. I couldn't find it in my house in Baroque, so I ran home and got my birth certificate. And these two of the Asians were like, hey, can we ride with you? And I was like, yeah, why not, you know, because, you know, I get tired and I didn't want to fall asleep because I've had a couple accidents. You know, I fell asleep. My last one, I fell asleep with my daughter in the car, and I just didn't want to do that again, you know, because I can't afford it. My car insurance is like $464 a month now because of this stuff.
Okay.
So it was nice to have someone to talk to, and well, then Trevor had messaged and said that he needed to get picked up in Westby. And I was like, okay, well, we gotta go back to La Crosse, we'll go that way, and I picked him up. Well, when we got into La Crosse, I was getting ready to go to the Holiday Inn, and this car pulls up on us. And they get out, and they're like going at the people inside my car. And I just continued to go in and give my job my birth certificate and said I'd see them tomorrow.
Security footage from the Holiday Inn Express that evening would back up her story of not just dropping off her information, but also of the two cars coming into the parking lot, one nearly rear-ending the other before the vehicles move off screen. The video footage would also give a timestamp of 1:59 a.m. on July the 23rd to about 2:01 a.m., providing investigators with a solid piece of information.
When you say going at the people in your car, what do you mean by that?
Like, with the gun, like, getting them out of the car.
Okay. So, where was the car?
It was in the parking lot at the Holiday. I just pulled up, like, so you can go this way. I just pulled up right here so I didn't block the entrance in case someone came in.
Mm-hmm.
And I just walked in and then
So while this is going on,
I just ran in and come right back out. I didn't know exactly what the extent was until I got out of there. And I was just like, so then when I got back to the car, at gunpoint they said, get in the car and follow me. So I did because I didn't want to get shot.
okay, so the person that had the gun said that?
There's two people that. I don't know how many guns there were, but there was two people in the other car.
And did they get in your car, or did they?
One got in my car.
Okay.
Because they took one of the Asians out of the car, put it in their car, and then the other agent got in my car behind my seat. It said follow him.
Okay.
So I did. And then they told me to pull over, and they got everyone out of the car. And I was just like, what's gonna happen? And after like a few minutes, they said, leave. With the gun pointed at me, so I did. And then I seen it on Facebook this morning that 3 bodies were found out there.
Bridget would then tell the investigators that she made her way back to town, not knowing what to do. She returned to the Baymont Inn, grabbed her things, and fled. Exhausted, she went back over to the Holiday Inn, found a parking space, and slept in her car. There would have to be much more to the story, the investigators know. As one of the detectives leaves the room to follow up on the car's description, the other gives her a moment to just release and possibly relieve some of the stress that she's been under.
You're doing good.
I'm so scared.
I know you are, and
I feel so bad.
you know what, though, you're doing the right thing right now.
That's what it is.
You're doing.
If I would have known what was going to happen, I would have came sooner.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were going to actually do that.
There's no way that you would have known. You're. You know what?
Bridget would provide permission for them to search the contents of her Dodge Charger, which was parked in a nearby lot. Inside, they would find the backpacks that had been carried individually by Peng and Nemo, and within those, what might have been most of the men's personal effects. Among the items were also Peng's birth certificate and a pair of bandanas like those often worn or carried by Nemo. It's becoming vitally important to know who was in that room at the Baymont Hotel and what led them there.
So, who else was in the hotel room on Wednesday other than you, Trevor, and Uncle?
Trevor, me, Uncle, and then Nemo, and then you call Pang.
Okay, so Nemo and Pang.
Yep, and Bam, I guess. And I don't know, I think Pang and Nemo, I think that's their actual real names.
So, what brought these people together? Trevor had apparently been fishing on the morning of the 21st with the men when he made the offer of getting a room to Bridget. She needed a place to stay rather than to drive back and forth to her parents' home 40 minutes away, but it seems that Nemo and Peng didn't have any place to stay either. Uncle and Bam seemed to at first have come along for the party. It would later be found out that Uncle, who was actually related to both of the young Hmong men, was trying to help the two lay low and stay off the radar and out of trouble. Over the coming 2 days, he wouldn't be very successful with it as the young men came and went, sometimes with Bridget, even though a change of rooms from the hotel's 3rd floor to the 1st floor into a larger suite with a jacuzzi-style tub. They and the movements of the other people staying in the room were often caught on security cameras at the Baymont. After allowing Bridget to take a short break, the investigators bring her back in and ask about the change from one room to another.
Told you that he wanted to do a room change. Why do you think that was?
I think it had something to do with these people finding out where these guys were.
Okay.
That's my only guess. I mean, everything was fine when I went into the shower, and then when I come out of the shower, it was room change.
And did it seem like the other guys in the room were aware that was the plan, or did it seem like they were surprised by that?
No, they knew.
They knew? So you suspect then that what you're saying is that
when I was in the shower, I heard the door open a couple of times, and I don't know who came in and out. Obviously, I was in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had some other people come in, and I think those people told them that they knew, because they had to have found out somehow.
Okay.
Where these people were at the Baymont.
Okay.
The kids, because from what I've gathered, like when the people showed up at the Holiday Inn last night, they weren't there for Trevor. Trevor, I think, was in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Okay.
And I think it was just the 2 Asian kids that these people were coming after.
And which 2 Asian kids in particular?
Pang and Nemo.
Pang and Nemo, okay.
And now the question has to be asked, were drugs being used?
Everyone spoke meth, including Trevor? Okay. And you're not in any trouble even if you did, but it's just important that I know too, did you smoke any meth at all?
I did one time, and
okay.
It was earlier in the day, and I just don't like the way that stuff makes me feel. And it tastes awful.
Okay.
And, like I said to him, I don't want to be that type of person. I don't want to use it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose my life over that. It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys smoke it out of a bubble, or what did you use to smoke it?
It was like a long glass thing.
Did it have the bubble on the end of it? Okay.
I just don't want to be judged.
No, I'm not judging you whatsoever. Did you see them in possession of like any type of money, U.S. currency? Like, did they have money that they were flashing around, or did you see any, like their wallets at any given time?
No, just when I used the card and address to pay my fee,
Okay. So no one was doing like a flash roll of money and then taking pictures of it and posting it on Facebook or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Footage from Nemo's phone would later show the men hanging out in the room. They returned to asking her about the ending of the night, how she had come back out to the Holiday Inn after dropping off her work papers. Outside, Peng, Nemo, and Trevor had been arguing with the 2 men she would identify as Black and Kush.
Nemo was in the other car, and Kush, who was one of the people in the other car, was in the back seat, and that's when they said get in and follow him with the gun.
All right, so when you say Nemo was in the other car, where was he positioned?
He was in the front seat.
The front passenger seat of that car?
Yeah. And Pang and Trevor were still in the same spots in my car.
Okay, and where were the people that were occupying the other vehicle?
And one was behind me, where Nemo was sitting, and back in the driver's seat of the other car.
All right, so that he was already in your car when you got back.
Yeah, and he had the window down.
Okay.
And I seen one gun. I looked back when I was walking, and I seen that he had a gun. And he was holding it towards someone like this, over my car, the older guy was.
Okay, so the guy that was in your vehicle or the guy that was in the
That
other
was
vehicle?
in the other vehicle.
So the guy that's in the driver's seat of the black car, he's holding the gun towards who?
When he was back in his car, he just had it out the window.
Like pointed at you?
Yeah, and said, "Follow me."
Okay. And that's before you sat down in your car, right?
Yeah, as I was opening and getting in, and I sat down. No, I was sitting down because Pang had the window open.
And where was his car positioned in relationship to yours?
Right next to it.
Like on your driver's side or on your passenger side?
Passenger side.
So you'd be looking through the passenger side window which Pang rolled down.
Yeah, it was
to see him. He has his driver's side window down. He's pointing the gun at you.
Yeah, it was like this within the car.
Okay. So there's no longer anyone in your front passenger seat, right?
No, Pang is still
Pang
in the
is
front.
still there.
Yeah.
He's pointing it to you and says, "Follow me." And in behind.
And I did not know if Kush had a gun or not for sure back there.
All right, and so you identify the guy behind you as Kush.
Yes.
So how do you know Kush?
I met him at a friend's house a couple weeks previous to that.
She will describe Kush to the investigators as a short, bald Asian man who was quiet with anger issues. She would go on to admit that she had met each of them a month or two earlier at a bar she used to work at. She doesn't know them by anything other than their nicknames. She's then asked if over the past couple of days the guys in the hotel room had been talking about these two.
Be incredibly honest with me, all right? In the Wednesday and Thursday that you're with these guys.
Okay, I'm gonna let you ask the question.
What's that?
I'm gonna let you ask the question because
Okay.
I wasn't with him the whole time.
Yep, I know.
Okay.
So how many times did people talk about Kush and Black in the days leading up to this incident?
So the four Asians that are, you're talking about those ones?
Yep. Or Trevor or you. I'm talking, how many times was their names brought up?
I heard Black's name once and Kush's name at least a couple times. Because I think the beef was more between Kush and the other two Asians.
Okay.
So
And
between Kush and who?
Nemo and Pang.
Between Nemo and Ping?
Pang, yeah. And I think Black was like muscle for Kush, like a backup person.
Okay. And the context that they're talking about, Kush and Black, was this about drug sales or drug purchases, or?
It was in Hmong.
It was in Hmong, so you could only hear the name Kush or Black.
Yeah, and I think it was money. I think money was stolen.
All right.
I think, from what I gathered, because somebody had said something earlier in that night. Nemo had said something about being accused of stealing a card, a debit card, but he didn't specify whose card. Like, and he was saying this to Bam.
Okay.
You know, not to me personally. I was just in the room.
Okay. And so Nemo's referencing this stolen card.
He also had said that he gets accused of stealing a lot of things, and so did Pang. And I was like, well, that sucks, I guess. You know what I mean? That sucks that you have that reputation.
The detectives then bring her back again to the night's events and the drive out to the quarry.
Follow me, or what does he say to you?
He says if you don't want to get hurt, follow me.
Okay.
Till he told me to pull over. Like we had to, he goes, that's where we're going, and I was going past, I couldn't hit the brakes to stop, because then it would ride over it, but there's a road up the way, and I turned around. I was told to turn around and go back to that quarry area. And it was dark. I don't know of things, my surroundings. It didn't look like there was anything around. But this, you could see there's a gate. And this a little, like, trailer with a little light.
Mm-hmm.
Now at the quarry, everyone gets out of the cars.
What is said or done at that point?
I got out to try to just talk to him, just say, hey.
To talk to who? Black or Kush?
Kush got out. I got out to go and talk to Black. I mean, I probably was stupid of me to approach him like that, but I just thought maybe I could say something to, make him rethink, but it didn't. And I don't even remember what I said. I just said what, I don't remember. Everything happened so fast, and I was very scared at that point. After I approached, I realized that I should have probably just stayed in my car.
Okay.
And he told me to go stand in the front of my car.
Okay. Black said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Black approached the passenger seat and pulled Trevor out, and Kush got Pang out, and Nemo was already out of Black's car. I'm assuming he was told to get out too from Black, but, and I had just went around. I'm thankful I didn't die.
Yeah.
I'm thankful he didn't hit me. I'm thankful that he didn't touch me or shoot me. I'm very, very thankful.
Yeah.
I sort of stopped believing in God after my cousin died. Because I didn't think it was right that a 10-year-old had to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now I'm very, very thankful that nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
So there is God. Thank God. So, yeah, I'm in the front of the car, like in the front of the area, and he just, like, hit him with, I'm assuming the handle of it.
So like if you're holding a gun in your hand and this is the handle, and the handle kind of has a flat part on the bottom, did he hit him like that?
Yeah.
With that piece of the gun?
That's what it looked like.
Okay.
And then
And that was after he got him out of the car or before he got him out of the car?
I'm pretty sure it was after.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if he hit him before he got out of the car or not. I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. But I remember, I recall that hit.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
They told them all to get on their knees.
Black told them to get on their knees?
And to me crawl over to the fence.
Then the time had come, and the three men who had been partying and hiding out just hours before would meet their fates on a dark gravel driveway in the middle of nowhere.
I was very nervous when I got in here.
Yeah.
And I just said, and I'm going to be honest with you, I said, when I said to drive away, I didn't drive away. I witnessed Kush shoot all three of them. And I never witnessed anything I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah.
And I know I should have called right then and there, but I was so scared.
Sure, I'm sure.
I was so scared. And I don't know what made me go to the Holiday Inn and just park there. I just fell asleep. I don't remember falling asleep. I said, don't fall asleep. Just think about what's going on and what I should do. And I noticed myself like doze off a couple of times. And then I woke up and it was early in the morning. And it was like, okay, I'm still here. And that's when I just went over to the main line, got my stuff, and I drove around a little bit, and then I seen that thing on Facebook, and that's when I drove right here.
Survivor's guilt is setting in heavily on Bridget, and she has been through a massive trauma. The investigators allow her to continue speaking.
He shot people first, and then Pay, and then Trevor. And then there's more. I don't know how many times each, but I just heard. And I just got in the car and I wanted to get away because I didn't want to get shot myself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that selfish?
I think it's self-preservation. I think you were probably doing everything that you could to stay alive at that point.
I've never been around anything like this before.
And her survival gave the law enforcement agencies in the area so much to work with. Now they at least had nicknames. They had some of the story behind what may have caused it. And during their interview with Bridget, a call came in from a neighboring county that a black Mercedes had been found abandoned in a field far from a regularly traveled road. The family of the owner of the property explained to police that they have no idea where the vehicle came from or when it arrived, as they had no security cameras in that area that might give up some clues. The vehicle, however, is registered to a Virginia Creole from a neighboring county. There has been no report of the vehicle being stolen, and authorities decide to do a wellness check on Virginia to see if she could have fallen to the same people who killed the trio. Officers find out that Virginia is alive and well, and that she had loaned the car to a friend of hers, Cam Rattatansack. Cam, known as Black or Blackie, is a suspected gang member in his 40s and is a known entity to police in the region. A search goes out for him, bringing him in for questioning if nothing else. His associate, Kush, is expected of being Nye Tao, a Hmong man who was just recently returned from prison and is on probation. At that time, he was listed as homeless. Investigators also know that there are two men they really need to speak to who could shed light on the entire situation. They just have to track them down. Uncle and Bam, the men who were staying in the hotel room with Bridget, Trevor, Peng, and Nemo. But just who are these men? Their aliases are not known to local law enforcement. The answer came when the phone records for Nemo and Peng were subpoenaed. Those, along with Facebook posts and messages, began to paint a fuller picture. Most importantly, there was a text communication between Uncle, Peng, and Nemo, where Uncle laid out just what was happening. Uncle is actually Chui Yi Zhang, better known on the streets as Crazy, a member of the True Asian Bloods. He has a long history with both young men and is related to both. And while they call him Uncle, they are actually just distant cousins in a close-knit community. During the investigation, Uncle happened to get incarcerated and was questioned about the murders by investigators. While somewhat guarded, he was willing to provide what assistance he could in tracking down the murderer of his nephews.
My name is Fritz Leinfelder. I'm an investigator with the Sheriff's Department. This is Joe Welch. He's also an investigator. I am not interested in talking to you about why you're here right now on your charges you just got picked up on or anything like that. I want to talk to you as a witness to the triple homicide. So Just like I said, anything you tell me I'm not looking at to jam you up in any way, shape, or form. I know that you've got some information regarding this, and that's kind of what I would like to get to.
I really don't know anything, because when we were there at the hotel, we were all hanging out. I told Nemo and Payne them that where are you guys going? You guys need to go somewhere. You guys can go with me and stop moving around like that. You guys are gonna get in trouble. And then I guess they don't want to listen to me, so they went with Bridget. And then whatever happens after that, that's what happens. I really don't know anything.
Why did they have to go someplace?
I guess they just want to go and try. They said they want to go try to make some money, but I really don't know. Because the last person I know that they went to, the reason why Bridget took them was to go to his mom, Pa. And that was the last person I know that they went to go see, but other than that, I don't know what else happened.
So that night they were just they were out earning or just driving around? They weren't running from anybody?
I mean, Nemo told me like from 2 days beforehand, he did come up to me and say, "Uncle, I have a problem." And I was like, "What's going on?" And then he said that Kush and a guy named Black, they were gonna hurt him. And I was like, "What? Why?" And he said that they accused him of stealing money. And I was like,
stealing whose money?
Whoever, I don't know. Okay. It was either Kush or Black, both of them got their money. And I told him, "Man, don't worry about it, man. Just stay with me. Just hang out with me. Don't worry about it. If anything happens, I'm here with you, you know? So don't be scared."
What exactly had the two young men done to get them into such a deadly amount of trouble?
But all I know is that Nemo and them were naughty kids too, so I really don't know what they actually did to offend these guys.
Did you ever ask him, Nemo, about what it's all about? You know, besides stealing money or anything, or?
In the footage from the Baymont Hotel parking area security camera, you can just make out two men running across the parking lot, crossing the road and heading into some nearby woods.
Did you ever talk to Kush that night, either by messages or?
Nope. I think I met up with I did see them at Days Inn, but that was it.
Okay. Earlier?
Yeah, just before that.
Okay. And them, you saw Kush and who?
Kush and Black.
Okay.
Yeah, because like when I went there, I didn't know what they were going to do, but they were talking a lot. They were just talking. He was talking normal, like a normal guy. And I asked him like, what is your deal? Stop messing around with my nephews and them, you know. But after that was it. Like he left them alone.
What did he say about that?
He didn't say nothing. He just acted all nonchalant about it.
He wasn't really upset or anything like that?
No.
Was Black upset or anything like that? Did you have a conversation with Black?
No, I didn't even talk to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you know Black? Where'd Black come in? Where did you know?
I don't know where.
You just know him as Black?
I just know what they call him. They call him Black, and then when that night I saw him, I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." The dude looks like a dumbass. Think he's a tough ass or whatever. So I didn't really care or think about anything because
They then ask Uncle if he thinks there was something going on behind the scenes. Was there a possibility that the two were victims of a hit from within the true Asian Bloods? Could they have been set up by someone? At first, he suggests Bam, the man by the name of Michael Ving, might know more, and he thought he might have been on the phone with Black or Kush. And then he raised the possibility that Bridget herself might have tipped off Black and Kush, perhaps inadvertently.
But I don't know, man. With everything that happened, there's gotta be somebody that's behind it.
What do you mean by that? You think it's somebody behind making Kush and Blackie do this?
Bridget and them? Yeah, somebody. Yeah. Somebody's forcing them to do something. I don't know.
You think Bridget can force anybody to do anything?
I don't know. I really don't know. Because as far as I know, Bridget was with Michael. They were hanging out, and then after seeing everything unfold, and people just saying stories about Bridget was with Black and Bridget was with Michael. So who really knows what happened? Because I was just there to hang out with my guys, you know. So
You kind of made the implication that somebody might be behind having Kush and Black do this, but as far as you know, it was Kush and Black were accusing Nemo and Peng of stealing from him, and that's what this is all about.
yeah.
Okay. Nobody behind the scenes saying, give them the thumbs up or green light to go take him out. It was just them acting on their own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I mean, like, yeah, I like what I know they were set up from after everything happened, and I read the discovery. I read the discovery, and I saw that Bridget was the one that told that she went with them, and this is where they went. And that night when I walked in that hotel and I opened the door and they rushed out, and she was acting all weird, and she was like, "Man, why the fuck you gotta be here?" And they took off. And I was just kind of questioning myself, what's really going on? And Payne then walked out acting weird too.
How do you perceive that? Why would they do that?
You tell me. I don't know. I was confused. Like,
It was time to bring in the prime suspects, and there was enough information to provide arrest warrants. One task force would head out to pick up Black, who had been seen traveling with his girlfriend. Another, including U.S. Marshals, was sent to a neighboring county to grab Kush, who had finally been located staying in a small rental house with some other recent prison releasees. The arrest of Kush would be complicated by a massive power blackout that hit the region that evening. Black would try to make a run for it.
They're pulling over Christie and Cross. Fire stop, please. Yeah. Okay. Doesn't look like there's double bag in the vehicle. Yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I got it on. I didn't see that. I went down.
And Kush would surrender with no difficulties. Both men would be brought into interview rooms for questioning. Kush would refuse to talk and never made a statement until much later when he called the police in to tell them that he had stolen a car that someone else was accused of stealing. When asked if there was anything else he would like to talk about, he said no and was taken back to his cell to await the legal proceedings leading up to his trial. Black, well, he was another story. He struggled with himself for hours in front of the investigators, all while nursing a hamstring that he had pulled in his attempt to evade capture. At first, he tries to say that he wasn't involved in the incident. Minutes later, he insinuates that if he's given immunity, he will be more forthcoming with information. He's quickly informed that this isn't some kind of a drug case where immunity could be on the table. This is multiple homicides, and the best he's looking at is a chance to get a sentence reduction that might get him out of jail before he's a very old man. It would take hours before Black would decide that throwing Kush under the bus was his only option.
I need to hear your story. You're saying that, hey, not me. Tell me the story. Nemo's a tab. Peng is a tab. Yeah. Nobody ordered a hit on Nemo or Peng. Somebody took matters in their own hand and killed them. You know, in that realm of things, that doesn't just, oh, okay, that's done and had.
Justification, because Nemo was a CI. He worked as an informant. They have paperwork on him.
They finally get him to speak about what happened on that night at the quarry. Who did what to whom?
Eventually, I started arguing with Bridget because she's in my face. Like, I'm not, you know. And then Kush, whatever, and he's yelling at me, and I'm like, dude.
I mean, Kush, whatever.
No, like, Kush is yelling at me.
Yeah.
While I'm arguing with Bridget.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, what the hell did he say? He said, what the fuck? He goes, you're supposed to be fucking like here with me, you know what I mean? I'm like, he goes, but you're over there arguing with that fucking bitch, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, I don't want to be sitting here at all, period. And that's when I got frustrated and I got pissed. I was like, you know what, no, I was like, shut the fuck up, man. I was like, you know what? I said, I didn't fucking come up here for none of your guys' bullshit. I didn't come up here because you're arguing with this person sleeping with that person or whatever the case may be. I don't give a shit. I said, I just want to go back to the hotel. I want to freaking sleep. And then he stopped yelling at me, started yelling at, you know, those guys. And Bridget kept trying to talk to me and distracted me. And I was like, I don't know what you want. I was like, but I'm trying to tell you, just leave me alone. Like, I just want to go. So I turned around at that time after I've done arguing with Bridget. They, you know, like he was making a move, and I was like,
how did he make a move?
He was having them move like.
Tell me, wow, how did they move?
Oh, they shifted from the side of the car where they were.
Okay, sit down. Okay.
And then he had them go towards the gate.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, what the fuck? You know?
Are they standing up now, or are they on their?
No, they were on their knees still. Like,
so they're like walking on their knees at this point to get to the gate, or what do you? They move from the spot you had them sitting down to then they're over going towards the gate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, which way are they facing when they get to the gate?
Well, they were like looking.
Okay.
Yeah, they were looking that way at first, and then like he had them turn around.
So they're turned away from the gate.
Yeah, so like they went this way, and then, well, they weren't. Hold on 1 second. Walk. So they had them walking towards the gate. I turned around. I was arguing with Bridget, and then when I turned around, they were facing the gate still. So they never turned. Nope, they never turned around.
So when you say walking, you're still saying they're like walking on their knees?
Or they're walking I've seen them, yes. They were
so they had them walking on their knees facing the gate.
Yeah.
When you turned around, they were facing the gate.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
And then I turned around, I was arguing with her.
Yeah.
He hopped the fence. And like ran, and then I'm like, what the fuck is, now what the fuck? But I'm not like yelling, I'm not trying to make a big noise or anything out of that.
So he, being Kush, hops the fence, and you're trying to figure out what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, because he ran off into the freaking darkness. Like where the fuck are you going, dude? Like, what the fuck is going on now?
Does he come back?
Yeah, he comes back, hops the fucking fence, and then he fucking starts yelling at me. He goes, oh, we need to hurry.
When he hops the fence, these guys are still on their knees, facing the fence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kush hops the fence, runs off into the darkness.
Yeah.
Comes back.
Yeah.
Hops back over the fence, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what happened?
And then I was just like, dude, I'm fucking out of here.
Sure.
I said, I'm leaving. And fucking, he was like, we should have fucking already been fucking gone. And I'm just like, whatever, man. Just the fuck ever, you know. Like at this point, I'm pissed, you know. And I just told Bridget, I said, you know what? I said, I'm just done. I said, don't call me anymore. I said, we don't need to talk anymore. And then she kept trying to say that she wanted to talk. And I started walking towards my car, the driver's side door. And then I turned around and he fires 2 shots through the front, like, and I thought, oh, all right, whatever. I was like, you're trying to scare him, you know? And then I I opened my car, started to get in, then I opened the back door. When I opened the back door, he was like firing like close enough where their ears were. So it was kind of like yelling, and they were like screaming like, oh, fuck you know, a bunch of things. I'm like, dude, fucking knock that shit off, man. I was like, fucking deal, damn well, these are kids. I'm like, get in the fucking car, let's fucking go. I said, Bridget, don't fucking call me anymore. And then I got into the car, started my car, and then I just heard a bunch of shots when they came out of the car. I thought that, I didn't even know, like, what happened. Until we get back into the car, and as I'm driving off, I'm calling Bridget, you know, just to tell her, like, hey, listen, you know, like, I just tell her, I'm just done. I'm leaving.
What did you see before you drove off?
What did I see before I drove off? I just drove straight out. I didn't even, you know, like, I seen Bridget.
So, Kush is standing there. You say you firing rounds just
right by their, yeah, it was
right by their ears.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was.
Then you get out of the car to see what's going on.
So I got out of the car because I was like, dude, like, knock your shit off. Let's go. Because at that time they were still towards
upright.
Yeah, but they were yelling, cussing. Everybody was like, fuck you, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, dude, they're fucking kids, man. Let's fucking go. I told Bridget, I was like, don't call me anymore. I was like, Bridget, so I'm done. And when I got into the car, I heard more shots and I heard more screaming, more yelling, you know. And then I turned the Bluetooth on. I was trying to sync my phone to it. And then Bridget kept coming by my window, and I was just like, you know, go away. Kush got into the car after he, you know, fired some more rounds, and I seen Bridget. She gets into the car. I just leave. Like, I don't.
She's in your car or her car? She's in her car.
Yeah, she gets in her car.
And the story is out. Finally, they have their men, and over the next few months, a case is built featuring a massive amount of security camera footage that tracks the vehicle's travels through and out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, communications between all the parties involved, some going back months, and countless interviews with people associated with the victims. The only piece that was still missing was the murder weapon. It would turn up 2 years later, discarded by the side of a road. A man and his wife, who lived a few miles away from the quarry, were out for a walk and picking up trash along the roadside near their home when they stumbled across it. There, lying in the leaves, was a rusty pistol. The magazine, with rounds still ready to go, was still in the pistol. It is unknown whether the pistol could have been fired again after such a long time out in the elements. Both men would stand trial, charged individually with 3 counts of first-degree murder and a single count of possession of a firearm by a felon. Black would strike a plea deal and have his case reduced to a single count of first-degree murder, and the other counts would be read in court but dismissed.
So, as a party to a crime, you took responsibility for that. And I think it's hard for me to justify 20 years of eligibility. It's hard for me to even begin to think that 20 years is enough. I want you to be, frankly, an old man when you get out. And quite frankly, I think that it has to be significant enough that you're not capable of ever doing any type of violence in the future.
Judge Elliot Levine would also pass sentence on Kush, who refused to testify in his own trial.
What you did, you had the weapon at one point in time, and by the testimony of, frankly, Ms. Schlicht, is that you pulled the trigger and killed them all.
It would take hours to get the whole story of what had happened that night at the quarry. It would take weeks to sort out all of the players in the drama, and it would take over 3 years before justice was done. And even though the three men killed were at least sometimes on the wrong side of the law, they each had families and friends who cared about them, people who now have to pick up the pieces and move on. And those who were responsible will have decades, perhaps a lifetime, to live with what they did.